Here we go into our game. Let's reveal the whole map and go into beautiful caster mode. We have Szalami playing as the Delhi Sultanate, spawning in the east, playing as the color blue. GiveUA as the Mongols with quite the mobile town center. Go ahead and put that next to the Uvu, which is a fantastic place to put it. And also we have his Gur trickling along, trying to find some sheep. Just scurrying along. Found some extra stone as well. Now, Mongols in the Khan and Dark Age, good idea for him to scout, try to get an idea of what Salami's base looks like. And if we take a look at Salami's base, good daily build order from him, obviously. Goes for the straggler tree, gets his 50 wood, goes to the mill, drops it there. Proceeds with his mosque and his house, doing a very good job of that, and has 2 on gold as well. This con now for the Mongols, scouting around trying to figure out what's the best place to do a tower rush, if a tower rush seems to be what he wants to do. But I'm not seeing any barracks come out of GiveUA quite yet. We'll see if he makes the attempt to do that. Picking up some sheep, stealing Salami sheep out of the back. Sees the berries are rather in the back. Good berry spawn for him. This gold's pretty out there though. All the way back in the south, and the Khan is finally going to see it, as we see it scurrying from west to east around the map. And here we have from GiveUA a lovely barracks. What a great way to start the Meta Plays Monthly, with a good old tower rush. And that barracks is going to go up. Make some spearmen at 2x speed. We'll see a villager coming with them. And go ahead and he's going to put a tower. Now if we can take a look at where he might go ahead and put this tower. Wood's a little forward, which could help him out there, as we see the 2x spearmen getting queued. Gold's a little out there as well. He might be able to get a wombo combo with both of these, but look at what Szalami does perfectly. Gets rid of the mining camp because he's at 200 gold, doesn't need it anymore. Sends these 2 villagers rather early to make sure he gets that, so even if GiveUA does put a tower in this particular area, it'll stop the gold throughout the long term. Won't get the raid bounty on the mining camp though, because it was deleted. And now Szalami with his scout being able to see GiveUA's spearmen, and we'll see them migrate north, and probably going to go ahead and take a look at this gold mine, take pot shots at some villagers, but those villagers just aren't there anymore. So he's got to figure out another strategy. These wood lines, rather for Szalami, might be a good target for him if he chooses to. With our second pair of spearmen escorting our villager, and I see sometimes with some lower level games, a lot of times there's no escort for this villager. Makes it rather difficult to actually traverse around the map, but GiveUA doing a good job having his bouncers in the form of spearmen. Going to make a tower right here. It's going to stop this wood line, and going to stop the gold a little bit up north also, which is going to be beneficial, and we'll see what he does with the next tower. Szalami's got a tower of his own, however. Tower of Victory coming in at about 330 mark. This is an impressive time for the Delhi Sultanate, using 5 to build that Tower of Victory, so this should go up rather quickly. Obviously GiveUA going with the spearmen, the barracks, the tower. It delays your feudal age just a little bit. The whole idea of a Mongol tower rush is you want to delay what your opposing civ is doing to the point where it's longer than your own delay going into feudal age. So let's see if GiveUA can capitalize on that. But on the 410 mark, Tower of Victory coming up for Szalami. Gets his archer range because he's had villagers on wood throughout. Khan sees it over here, as we can see, traversing from north to south. Able to pick up the Tower of Victory, able to see the archery range as well. Problem is GiveUA's tower is all the way on the other side of all the important things that are going on in Szalami's base. This is the only safe wood line for him. This area south is the only safe wood line, and I think GiveUA knows it with this Khan, able to take pot shots at the scout. Scout has a nice little medicine bag in his pouch, so he'll be able to regenerate like it never even happened. First archer coming out for Szalami. Going to go ahead and take hits at this Khan. And it looks like, as far as GiveUA goes, going to leave the spearman in the tower, knows that gold will have to be coming out at some point, as Szalami, as the Delhi Sultanate, wants to get the scholars if he can. No one's got one scholar in there, doing a good job getting sanctity first, which is more important than something like the piety. Got to get those sacred sites if you're the Delhi. And with the first archers coming out from Szalami, he's able to make those walls around this area, preserve a little bit of food for him. He's got these berries right here. You usually see a lot of walls going around sacred sites as well. So we might end up seeing that as the game progresses. Continuing to make archers, adding a barracks as well. Szalami knowing that for most Mongolian players, you have a barracks in the beginning trying to get your spearmen. To stop a tower rush, a good production is an archery range, usually about 3 archers or so. So what does he do in Dark Age? Well, gets a spearman, gets these early horsemen, which will be able to be a nice hard counter for the archers that we see here. So now we're seeing army compositions develop just a little bit. Szalami with some spearmen and some archers, Mongols with spearmen and horsemen instead. And I'm assuming as GUA just hits feudal age with the deer stones at the 619 mark, might go ahead and get himself an archery range too. Look at this Szalami coming out to this forward gold patch, excuse me, trying to wall up behind it. Early horsemen getting an idea of that. But these early horsemen getting down, and most of these villagers are leaving rather unscathed, able to get that precious gold that he needs to make scholars. GUA not taking no for an answer, however. Good micro going around, dodging the spearmen. And all GUA is trying to do is disrupt this gold production. Trying to get some of these archers down, trying to lower Szalami's military count so it's not as even. Delhi wouldn't be able to snowball afterward. But it's rather tough. These horsemen, though, are somewhat quick. You can see them bobbing and weaving throughout all of these 3 spearmen, but end up getting caught in the end. 1 horseman going down with the Khan as well. And if we could take a look at our lovely sacred site, Sanctity is just about to be completed. So Szalami's got to be thinking about sacred sites now as the Delhi Sultanate getting that nice, precious 150 gold per minute that you don't even need to do anything for. It just makes Delhi so fantastically broken as the game translates from feudal age to castle age. GUA back home as we see some of these raids. Does go with an archer range, little 1-1-1 build, trying to get raids on all different sides. These villagers are getting pissed that their wood is getting deprived, so they are grabbing their shivs. They're trying to take out some of these spearmen, take out a horseman in the process. And they are able to chop a tree down and get wood for another day. Szalami still able to get this gold. Haven't seen much in the way of scholar production for him, however, and that's one of the things that makes Delhi so strong, as I see 2 just queued up by him, is having that ability to heal your units in feudal age. When you're able to conglomerate your army, go up against an opponent, and you have scholars that can heal, basically makes free units out of nothing when it comes to a big battle like that. Makes Delhi very difficult to beat in feudal, especially with someone like the Mongols who don't have armored units in feudal age. They don't have something like a royal knight. They don't have something like an early men-at-arms. So it's not going to be, as far as unit compositions, they're going to be rather similar. GUA got a little frisky with these 4 villagers. Looks like they're just going to go back home and find some resources to gather. This tower's still up from GUA, creating some kind of proxy base for him, getting an ability for his army. Stay within the tower's reach. This makes it a little bit better. Szalami walling up, trying to get some of these sacred sites a little bit safer. Counter raids coming in on the opposite side. Spearmen there against those horsemen. So these horsemen will be going down without much in the way of villager kills. No villager kills throughout the entirety of the game so far. Seen a lot of raids by GUA. Not quite getting rewarded for it, however. GUA, instead of raiding with units, is going to try to raid with a tower instead. Going right next to these palisade walls, excuse me, and I think that this tower does not have range. Probably going to need arrow slits before something happens, but skirmish coming out right outside of the Delhi Sultanate Town Center. GiveUA massing up all of his troops, trying to come in, take out this little protectorate force around these villagers coming in south. Has enough spearmen coming in as a little bit of a buffer for his horsemen. Horsemen not getting to the archers, however. Archers from GiveUA doing a good job taking down those spearmen, able to one-tap them. And now there are some horsemen, some archers able to pick off some archers in the back. No worker kills, however. A lot of these units are going to end up getting taken down by the town center, and counting at least 2 or 3, but no villagers were harmed in the making of that battle. Looks like one went down right at the end. And now with this only safe wood line for Szalami, GiveUA knows that this is the area of attack for him. He needs to make sure if he cuts off a wood supply here, it's going to be difficult for Szalami to mass up some archers. And it'll make his battles just a little bit better in the favor of GiveUA. No player saving up resources, however. No player thinking about castle at any point as we reach the 11.5. And here we go. Here is our 3 scholars going to come in. And look at how well they even heal each other. It makes this rather difficult for GiveUA to engage, even with a tower in front of them, just because when you have enough scholars, as we see archers are going to garrison in the tower, if you have enough scholars, you can out-heal the tower. That's exactly what he's doing, putting all of his scholars on the spearmen that are being targeted. They're able to take down this tower rather easily. GiveUA's archers will be going down as they try to retreat. Szalami sees that perfectly. That tower is now not a problem for him. Going to put a gold mine, going to take this closer gold instead of this farther gold that was previously towered. Military count 33 to 17 in favor of Szalami, again with Delhi being able to efficiently produce out of your military buildings. Taking a look back really quickly, he is doing with his archery range and his barracks. He's able to produce villagers faster than the Mongolians can, even though Mongolians can get 2x at the cost of stone. The only thing Delhi needs to do is just put a scholar in there, make everybody work twice as fast. And as we see, based on military counts, we got about a 2-to-1 in favor of Szalami. Very first sacred site going to get captured right in the middle here. That's some free gold. Second sacred site going to get captured. Good job by Szalami by walling these, making these a little bit safer. So now it's going to be difficult as this Mongolian army is starting to sharpen their swords on a pork product that we see over here taking down this boar. We've got Szalami making his little deli onion layer, getting walls on walls. Every time you take down a wall, there's just another layer behind it, and that's what it looks like he's trying to do. Now with these sacred sites producing a nice 300 gold per minute at the cost of no villagers at all, he might be thinking about going up to Castle Age. And now GiveUA with a nice chop through coming in on south. Szalami sees it almost immediately. Utterly fantastic by Szalami being able to do that. But a lot of villagers are going to go down trying to get that wall up. Trying to build another wall in the back, but this tower with its arrow slits, all of these archers coming in. Look at all of these villagers going down as we watch the economy numbers on the top part of our UI dwindle. It's a 12 villager lead for GiveUA. And now with this tower in the back, not much that Szalami can do about it just because of the walls that were there. Doesn't want to delete them either. This force has to retreat. A lot of villager kills because of that. But on the back side, Szalami is, because of that free gold for the sacred sites, does have the ability to go up to castle with compounded defender, and that's what he's doing. A lot of times now, he's just biding time. Look at where GiveUA is in terms of resources. Nowhere near castle. He's not going to be able to get up there probably for another 2 minutes worth of time. Szalami can queue his Castle Age. Don't want to lose a lot of military in the process. Looks like GiveUA's army comprised of essentially just archers and a couple horsemen in the back as well. But as Szalami is now into Castle Age, going to be able to get those Castle Age upgrades, get those veteran spearmen, get those veteran archers, could perhaps create some armored units out of those barracks, maybe make some men-at-arms, which could be wildly effective against the Feudal Age Mongols, as these archers are wasting their arrows trying to take down one of these palisade walls. But Szalami now has time that he's in Castle Age. He's going to be able to make things like men-at-arms, as we see our first men-at-arms hit the battlefield. Look at all of that armor. That's 5 ranged armor against these archers that only have 6 attack. So a lot of these archers will be shooting marshmallows at these men-at-arms as they decide to take this battle. Szalami also picking up a couple relics in the process. So even though we see in the economic count GiveUA having a +9 lead, as archers are trying to, they just don't have the range against those other archers. They're not going to be able to get there. But even though Szalami, back to my previous point, took a lot of villager losses here, trying to build that wall previously, he's got all of these relics as GiveUA just hits Castle Age, which what I imagine would be the step redoubt, and there's our wonderful step redoubt. Gonna make that gold mining more efficient. He's got a couple relics, he's got a couple sacred sites. So right now he's operating on the 2 that he actually has planted, now 3. So that's 240 plus another 300. He's getting 540 gold per minute, doing absolutely nothing. Some of this passive gold eco from Delhi is what really helps them steamroll into Castle Age. GiveUA trying to not let him do that, looking for a way to kill some more villagers. The issue is, a lot of the best economy that Szalami has in the form of gold isn't something you can kill. These relics going to be able to produce that gold for some time, and now that these men-at-arms come out, GiveUA took a little longer to get to Castle Age, so in terms of making Castle Age units, not going to be able to do that very quickly, as we see out of the stable. He is making knights. Might want to transition to crossbowmen, which he does as soon as I say that, queues up 2 times, and has a second town center as well, trying to lay it on thick in terms of villager lead, trying to make up for some of those relics, trying to make up for some of those sacred sites that he has. Now that we have veteran archers coming out with only 8 attack, men-at-arms with 5, a lot of those archers only hitting for 3, but there are quite a few of them. As I take a look, 33 archers and the Khan running for their lives. Don't want to get hit by those swords of the men-at-arms, so it's going to make them retreat further to the southwest, back home. GiveUA going to add some Castle Age units of his own with some men-at-arms, and he knows for Delhi, men-at-arms is something that Delhi likes to do because you don't need upgrades, you don't got to wait for it. So he's going to make some crossbowmen with it, adding a very good idea to his army comp. Ooh, these villagers a little left out in the open. Might have forgot they were there because of the good map control that GiveUA had for the duration of this game. But Szalami's going to get a couple villagers back compared to in Feudal Age when he lost some of his own. Might be able to take down that tower as well, trying to give himself just a little bit security. And now that you're the Delhi Sultanate, not only is he adding a second town center to stop that bleeding of the 2 town centers that GiveUA is making, trying to make the economy somewhat stable along with the passive gold. But when you're the Delhi, this is your time to really strike here. You have your attack speed increased by the Tower of Victory, which is going to pan out very well in future battles as we go into Castle Age, because usually for the Delhi, this is kind of the climax of their game. Castle Age is something that's very important to them, and the Mongolians are going to meet them in the center where the 3rd sacred site is. Does have a lot of crossbowmen in here. 14 crossbowmen can do really good against those men-at-arms. Not much of a front line for them, however. It looks like only a couple men-at-arms, and they got a kite back. There isn't much of a men-at-arm pool for GiveUA. A lot of those archers are kind of left out by themselves, and a lot of those crossbowmen end up getting picked off. Good micro by Szalami. Now, there's only 6, 5, 4 crossbowmen total, and some of them aren't even in this part of the map. The men-at-arms are going to be able to have free reign in this particular area. Knights going down on the east side as well. Now GUA's army has nothing to do against these men-at-arms. Gonna get a nice little cheeky Wololo off, but that's the last thing that Scholar ever does in its entire life as it meets his grisly end. And GUA's army getting largely cleaned up here. What I'm seeing as we see our first Dumbo hitting the battlefield. Let's zoom in on him. Look at the way he is shaking and moving. That is a dump truck on that elephant, that's for sure. Now that the elephants came into the battlefield, army for the Delhi Sultanate going to be a little bit slower. Just because they're all moving at the speed of the elephant, but the third sacred site ending up in the hands of Szalami. Because of Compound Defender, he's able to make some nice little stone walls to protect this third sacred site. This sacred site is going to be the most difficult to defend. Adding some stone wall towers as well. Not something that is illegal in Metaplays tournaments, just no stone walls in Age 2, able to make stone wall towers. So he is going to do that. Men-at-Arms with the Compound Defender being able to make stone walls in the process, going to be able to do that very well. So GUA's got to transition to Siege, and he does that almost immediately. Nice little mangonel, going to be able to do some damage towards some of these walls. Stonewall Tower, though, has got something to say about it. And Szalami, not something that we see a lot in AoE 4 anymore, it seems like. But the archers getting on top of the stone walls, giving themselves a little bit of range. Going to be able to take pot shots at any units that come try to take this third sacred site. If you're GUA, you're not really sure what to do right here. He's got some 3 defensible sacred sites. Might want to change and go for one of these that only have palisade walls as a defense, because these stone walls are going to be rather difficult. It looks like GUA is trying to ramp up his production just a little bit as he eclipses the 70 villager mark. Probably does have the economy as we see him floating. Just a little bit of food, a little bit of gold, a little bit of wood. Going to transition that into military units. As our sacred site countdown is down into 8 minutes. I thought that was another tower. I was like, one's enough, man. I forgot these towers even existed before casting this. But now GUA making a transition here. Szalami's trying to stonewall pretty much the majority of his side, trying to get defensive around these sacred sites, but the palisade wall is just these bunch of sticks aren't going to do too much for him, as they're going to be able to burn some of those down. Military count on each side, 48 to 30 in favor of Szalami. Now Mangonel's taking pot shots at these walls as well. Can't put stone wall towers on these bad boys. These walls are ripe for the picking. And now it looks like with Szalami, this slow Delhi army, even though there's only 1 tower elephant here, still got to migrate from all the way down here, has to migrate all the way north as we see here. It's probably going to end up venturing a little bit west here, trying to keep this second sacred site. As it first starts getting neutralized. This Delhi army's got to have something to say about it. Can't just let that sacred site go. GUA trying to get a counter raid with some of those knights, but those are raiders turned to corpses. And now as we look at this migrate just a little bit west, he might be able to catch this sacred site just in time before it gets actually neutralized. Horsemen doing a good maneuver around the front line, trying to get into the crossbowmen, trying to make them back up. GUA has siege advantage with this Mangonel, using the archers and the crossbowmen around as a little bit of a buffer so he can't get any melee attacks on them. But now that the front line's pretty much cleaned up for GUA, there's nothing that stops them in the way of these horsemen and this crossbowman mass that's here. Mangonel getting a good shot on some of these archers, but staggered formation makes sure that it doesn't get too much in the way of damage. These horsemen are able to clean up these crossbowmen. Military now 54 to 17, not looking really good. Szalami can put stone walls back up here. Gonna make it a little difficult for him to get the sacred site. And that was the main push that GUA really had in terms of trying to get the sacred site. Here we go, some lovely stone walls. One of the things that just makes Compound of the Defender so fantastic. You just win a battle like this with all of your foot soldiers, archers, and men-at-arms alike. And then what do? They turn around and start building stone wall towers and stone walls right in your grill. Szalami does have the military advantage to send a little veteran horseman raid. I say little, but there's about 12 plus another 3 in the back. I feel like the issue with GUA is there's just a lot of range in his army composition. There's not a lot of a front line, and as we saw in one of the battles before, the battle for the sacred site there, all the horsemen just kind of went around the front line. Gonna be able to find the step readout these horsemen are. Dumbo trying to chase him. A little too slow though. Villagers on their feet a little bit faster. And what did I just see coming out of the Delhi Sultanate? It's the Hisar Academy. As we see some of these raids here. I'm trying to find it on the mini-map. I can't even look for it. There we go. Quick question, guys. When's the last time you saw Delhi and Imperial? And now you're never going to. GUA sees the Imperial Age, taps out of this game. I'll tell you what, this was a textbook Delhi game. As we take a look at some of the graphs here with villager count. Again, Szalami, we mentioned a little bit just before Szalami went to castle, took a little bit of a villager hit, but he had the sacred sites and he had relics already. So he was able to kind of negate this from ever being a big deal. And also with the military strength that he had, he was kind of just able to bully the Mongolian player throughout. If there was a part of the map that he really wanted, Szalami would take it. And we just saw a rather convincing Delhi victory, and actually went for the sacred site victory as well. As I see a lot of people with Compound Defender just go with some nice keep drops, throw a keep right in somebody's face. Didn't see that this time around, didn't really need to, just because of the map control that he was able to get as he transitioned from feudal to castle. Likes to play the Malians, as we see him here, our caster UI loading up fantastically well. Szalami on the west side of the map, spawning in as the Malians, and I do like his monument. That little 4. That's just a fantastic town center, ladies and gentlemen. And Divine DFP playing as the English. Now, I have casted a decent amount of Divine's English games. And usually when I see him play English, I expect a barracks. He likes to go Vanguard Men-at-Arms and do a little bit of damage. And to be honest, when you're playing against the Malians, might not be a bad idea. They do make Donzos in the Dark Age. Their spears are quite mobile. They're able to throw them. So it could be a benefit for Divine to do that. Chooses not to, however, and continues with a somewhat aggressive English build, as you can see on our screen. All of these villagers staying on the sheep, not doing the typical 2-2-2 with 2 on wood, 2 on gold, all that kind of stuff. Starts to migrate some of his villagers to gold. Now, on the outside for the Malians, if not a lot of people have seen the Malians, I'll explain it just a little bit. These pit mines, getting a nice little gold per minute based on how many houses they have in the periphery, as we see the area lit up here as well. So he's getting a nice passive gold per minute, able to get that 200 gold to get up to feudal age. Malian's build order a little bit different than other civilizations. You see that straggler tree just left to just a stump. Going to be able to use those, get these houses around to get some good passive gold per minute. Perhaps get enough space for a mining camp as well if he wants to take it. These pit mines obviously aren't taking any gold. And we can see here, even if the 4,000 gold is taken, those pit mines are still able to take gold per minute. Part of being a pit, you go underground, maybe there's some gold under there the villagers can't see. They're able to get that as passive gold per minute. Szalami, as the Malians, doing a rather normal Dark Age build. Going to get some of these sheep. Going to be able to get his 400 of food to go up rather shortly. They do have a little bit of a more delayed feudal time as, say, this English aggressive feudal age does. Reason being, they need to take some of that wood, get some of these houses around, get the pit mine, all that kind of stuff. English only has to make one house, even though these are half cost. Gotta make a lot of them, but both of them with 4 villagers going up at almost the exact same time. Szalami with the Mansa Quarry, shout out to Mansa Musa, arguably richest man on earth at the time, and the Council Hall going for Divine, gonna be able to make some longbows. Curious to see now, I don't know, just because Malians are so chosen, like so fewly chosen in the ladder, I don't know if a lot of players have experience playing against them and what actually, you know, what's the right army composition to do as we see the Council Hall coming up. I'm curious to see what Divine chooses. I know with the Malians, their anti-armor specialist being the Musafati warriors, a lot of people are complaining that they're quite weak right now just because they don't have any armor. A lot of these longbowmen that can come out of the Council Hall might be able to pick them off. That's what Szalami chooses to build. So maybe something like a men-at-arms would be good for Divine. The Malians in feudal age do have the ability to get warrior scouts, a little bit of an improvement on their scout, turns them into pseudo horsemen. I want to say have about 7 attack, but they still have the wonderful speed that a scout does. And as we see both of them going up at just about the same time, a rather quick age up out of both players. Just about as bang of a play you can have. Divine going up just about 2 seconds after. But look, we see Divine going to make a complete rotation into what looks like a second town center. 6 villagers on stone here for the Englishman, and only keeping about, I want to say about 4 or 5 on food, just to make sure you're getting constant villager production. Both players not electing for military production currently, as we see only 1 scout and an archery range. And we have our first javelin thrower, an excellent counter to the longbowman that the English love to make, going with a stable as well. But as far as Divine goes, yes, he got defeated a little bit early, just wants to get that second town center rather quickly, not thinking about making units currently. Wants to stabilize some of that English economy, getting wheelbarrow at the same time. Personally, I like this build a little bit better than the 2-2-2 because you're getting the second town center, you're getting wheelbarrow, and even though you're delaying the wheelbarrow just a little bit, you're getting up to field, you're going to be able to defend yourself just in case something really happens. As far as this particular instance, however, not much in the way of battle is coming out, but we have our first javelin thrower getting chased by the wolf when the wolf just decided he is not hungry anymore and is going to retreat back west. But the first javelin thrower coming into play. These units, super cool looking out of the Malians. He just looks like he's always ready to strike, but he gets there just a little bit late. Javelin going to be able to take hits on those villagers, but Divine, remember with these town centers, need 350 stone. Warrior Scout just comes into play, so they have a little bit of meat when it comes to attack strength. And Divine going to be able to put his second town center, so Szalami just a tad bit late in terms of getting some of that aggression out. Still going to get some hits, going to wound some villagers, make them bleed a little bit, which is fine. First longbowman coming out. Not the best unit against the javelin thrower. However, with how many there are, and a sofa appearing, that is not a couch, and I wouldn't recommend sitting on it, ladies and gentlemen. This sofa kind of a little cross between a horseman and a knight, as we see a lot of these units actually going down the MG42 machine gun that the English town centers have strapped to them. Going to be able to take down some of these units, sofa included. And now with only 1 or 2 javelin throwers, just creating a little bit of havoc. Divine doing a good job pulling away his wounded villagers, going to be near the sheep so they don't end up getting taken down. And these longbowmen going to be able to keep some of these javelin throwers at bay and make them retreat out west. Second town center going to be going up for Divine, so we'll see a little bit of a villager increase, a little bit of an economic lead for Divine as he continues to have this play out, depending on when this second town center comes up with Szalami. And I've seen a lot of players, a lot of Malian players going stone with the Manse Quarry, getting their 350 stone that way, and then they're able to just get the wood needed, going to be able to make production buildings at the same time, and going to be able with some passive gold economy, as now he just transitions into stone mining with, or gold mining, excuse me, with villagers, with these pit mines. And we have our second pit mine in production getting some passive gold per minute. So he's going to be able to make an army, kind of create his little snowball in feudal, while he's taking the time to get his second town center, which although might be a little bit later, he's able to establish an offensive with some of these units, maybe take down some of Divine's villagers that he's been making out of his second town center. English, however, in feudal age, rather difficult to raid just because of their own town centers having that much arrow fire. And a lot of Malian units, I would say with the exclusion of Javelin Thrower just having its 3 ranged armor, like Sofa's only having 2 ranged armor, very difficult for them to sit under things like town centers, sit under things like outposts, because they will get a decent amount of damage, and before you know it, some of your units will turn into corpses. But this outpost is going to be able to pick off and see some of these Malian skirmishers trying to get around here. Outpost seeing it, going to get a little fire his way. So now that the farm economy is starting with Divine, obviously the English farms being that much better than everyone else's, going to be able to stabilize a food economy that's rather safe because of how close these farms are to the town center. And the only thing that English really has to venture out for, because they have a nice outpost with arrow slits here, is wood up north. So rather difficult for Malians to actually get a raid if they want to, but good army comp to counter what Divine's doing of just having longbowmen. It seems like these longbowmen, just for defensive purposes, has a nice little setup camp going. Going to be able to heal some of these longbowmen up. All you need is a little bit of fire to make you feel better. And Szalami going with the second town center of his own. And then the Manse Quarry switches to gold after that second town center comes up, so he'll be able to stabilize. Get a nice food economy here with the deer. Has a little gold patch here once he transitions to castle. Maybe put another pit mine there. I like his town center placement, although far out there. Create a little bit of garrison ability, a little bit of defensiveness to this area. And he does have a nice berry patch out back here if he chooses to do that as well. Now, the other thing about the Malians that I do want to talk about are these nice mills, and you might be thinking, well, this mill's right next to the town center. I have no idea why he's doing that. The reason why is to make cattle at 100 gold a pop. If you do harvest food from the cattle, they have the same gathering rate as boar, which is quite scary in the hands of the Malians with a stable food economy. Going to be able to pump out units, and we see Malians being able to do that, getting their javelin throwers, getting their sofas, and I do see down here as well, we're here in Ram Branch, ladies and gentlemen. First ram that we've had at this tournament that we've seen, however, battering rams, of course, that we know, a little bit less health than usual, 420 health, blaze it. Going to be able to take down one of these outposts. A lot of, actually, I would say every single one of Divine's military units not going to be able to deal with battering rams very well. Just with longbowmen shooting arrows, would be death by 420 paper cuts if he chose to do that. But also going to be able to go up to castle age with the resources that he's collected, didn't spend it on military. Going to be able to get the white tower, and this little English stronghold that we have here going to be rather defensible. Very easy to pick off a lot of these soldiers that are be coming out with the ram, so the villagers would be able to torch it if they needed to. Now, English with that town center, 1 garrison, 2 arrows. Typical English. With this white tower as well, going to be able to use it like other English keeps. Going to be able to make any unit that he wants out of those white tower. and hopefully gets those defensive structures as well, stabilizing food economy, putting a stable down, so hopefully as he goes into Castle Age, he'll be able to make some Castle Age units. Maybe a knight or two would help him out against some of these javelin throwers and these sofas, which do pale in comparison compared to irregular knights of some of the Western civilizations. Sofa's not going to be as effective. But Szalami going for a full feudal push. Second ram coming in. We got a pair of rams. Szalami, just seeing the white tower, realizes he has to run in the opposite direction. With Szalami being in feudal age and the only siege he's able to make is rams, it's going to be rather difficult for him to take down that white tower with all this arrow fire. Look at these arrows from the English player just raining hell on everything. This sofa going to go down rather quickly with these longbowmen as well. This is not enough javelin throwers. Yes, you're creating a lot of idle time, but at what cost? You're losing a lot of army in the process. And Szalami actually doing the smart thing and taking out these farms. And even though they are half price for English players, still got to take the time to build them. It just disrupts the food economy. Trying to get in a little raid here on the south side with some javelin throwers, some sofas. Not going to be able to get there. Szalami realizes that his push is rather in vain just because of the defensive structures that the English player has the capability to and the arrow fire that they have. So he's going to go up to Castle Age. With the Farimba garrison, this produces barracks and archery ranged units 5 at a time, with the unit cost only being gold and reduced by 20%. Obviously, you can see how good that is with the Malians. Going to be able to make a third pit mine, most likely here. Could be over here as well, as he puts the mining camp there. Might be able to start there. This one's actually a little bit safer. So I like to play from Szalami here. And now as we go into Castle Age, will we see an army composition change? Maybe we're going to see a little bit of Donzos coming out of Szalami, just because Divine is making knights, trying to establish a little bit of map control. These javelin throwers going to do not that much to these knights, and the knights will be able to clean them up with longbowmen in the back. Trying to get a little pick off on one of them, not going to be able to do it. And the javelin throwers have to retreat now. Military leads 16 to 11 in favor of Divine. Malians, however, do have a little bit of an economic lead. And look at that, we do have some cattle carcasses. A little bit of fresh T-bones coming in, trying to establish a little bit of a push. What's nice is in this game, for people that are used to watching Age of Mythology, maybe other ones that Metaplays has to offer, these carcasses do not decay. And Divine, again, building his farms up again, going to make some of that food economy. And when you're playing against an English player like this, it is so frustrating. Because a lot of times, Divine's making walls back here. He's going to be able to kind of fortify his defenses, go a little bit into turtle mode. And if you let the English do that, you end up losing, because they go into Imperial Age, they get enclosures on their farms, and it just becomes this impenetrable force. So in Castle Age, I feel like for Szalami, pressure's on here. I'm thinking he wants to establish some kind of mount, some kind of offensive, got his veteran sofas, and is adding Musafati warriors, and does have ranged armor upgrades. So one of the things that Musafati warriors are good at is obviously against heavy units. As we take a look, 12 attack, but plus 12 to heavy. So a lot of these knights that Divine is making, Musafati warriors do a good job against them. But the issue that we talked about a little bit before as this game started, they don't have any ranged armor coming out of the gate. So he does have plus 2 on them, which will help him shield against some of the longbowmen. Actually went for, it looks like he's probably going to have a pit mine in this area because the house is around it, instead of over here. But this passive gold generation is going to prove beneficial, as we see, looking at the top part of the screen, 1,800 gold per minute. Got these veteran Musafati warriors coming out at 5 a pop. And if we take a look, it's only 320 gold for all of that, for how much he's making. Now, these knights coming in on some of these raids, Musafati warriors can turn around and take this fight, but look how squishy they are. They're doing good damage, and now they're just going to run in without a care in the world, but look at how quickly they get taken down by some of these longbowmen. Divine doing a good job of making his longbowmen into a line formation so he can pick off multiple at a time and doing a good job. But now Sofa's coming in from the north as a little bit of a reinforcement. They're going to do a little bit better of a job at some of these longbowmen with 7 total ranged armor. Divine, without any blacksmith upgrades, doesn't have any range damage upgrades either. So these Sofas are going to be rather impenetrable to that longbowman fire. Malians see that their snowball is coalescing into some sort of avalanche and going to be able to drop a keep right in the center, trying to make a little proxy base here. Divine has to send some of his villagers back home into the stronghold, into the White Tower and the secondary town center. This tower is going to end up going down. And even though the Musafati are a little squishy, a lot of them end up going down in this fight. They were able to make those knights retreat a little bit back so these English players can get his network of castles and his attack screed upgrade. We have a lot of villagers coming in trying to make this Malian keep. I love the way the Malian stone structures actually look, and if this keep comes up, you'll be able to see it as well. But now with this outpost not there anymore, he might not know this keep is going up, which is why he's just sitting there. And you might be yelling at your television screen, telling him to do something about it, but because of this outpost, Szalami knows that, trying to stop him from making the outpost. But now that the longbowmen get a little bit closer, they'll be able to see that a keep is going up. Deletes that outpost, concedes this area to the eastern side, and gonna end up scurrying back. Divine doing a good job with his APM, getting a relic. Szalami with 2, as we can see on the lower left-hand part of your screen. Now that this keep going up, English does like to turtle, but can this be a detriment to them at this point? Because he does have these walls up. These Musafati warriors will be able to torch these down rather quickly. Looking for some raids, maybe on this gold mine here in the back. That's a little bit safer than the forward. And look at this keep structure. It has these spikes coming out of it on the outside, and just like this brick kind of color. It's a fantastic keep. But we do have an English turtle, which is typical of the English. As you can see, their economy pretty much unharmed by anything that's going on in the map. And that's what makes English frustrating to play against. You know, I see a lot of, with English and China playing solitaire and just end up winning. But Szalami being able to try to get a raid on these, on this English stronghold with some Musafati warriors, which don't think is going to be rather beneficial to him. A lot of them are going to end up going down. All of them end up going down. Still has the military lead 47 to 21 because of this Lumbly Farimba garrison getting 320 gold for 5 Musafati warriors. And for how cheap they are, I understand why he's making them at this time. He just sent 15 out, tried to get a raid going, he lost them all. It doesn't really matter just because of how much gold he's making a minute. He's just pushing all of his gold into units because of that garrison, doing a fantastic job of spending his resources. Wants to stay in castle, and is able to actually find some English villagers. Divine noticing, trying to pull them back. Multiple going down. Total worker kill count for the Malians now equals 21. He's going to be able to make these farmers retreat back home. Knights trying to come in on the other side. Not going to be quick enough to save a lot of these villagers. Oof. That was huge for Szalami. Eco count right now 92 to 67 in favor of the Malians. And these Sofas, with only losing a couple, being able to retreat back. And we just saw on our screen the fact that Szalami has all 3 sacred sites. This is textbook how to play against the English. You have some trebuchets, taking down some of their buildings, you're making them try to come out of the shell. And you have some of these, all of these sacred sites being taken with some defensive structures coming up here. We got a nice keep here as well. And as this battle is going on in the center, with 1 blue trebuchet trying to take down this keep, a couple trebuchets out of the Malians just knocking on the English's doorstep, it makes the English have to come out, have to get some of this, and now that's what I was checking for. Divine getting network citadels, making that attack speed a little bit better. Both of these players spending all of their resources going for a castle age victory, it looks like, out of both of them. But with these trebuchets, There's no Springolds coming out for Divine. Szalami can just keep creeping forward and take down some of these buildings, maybe take down a landmark or two, because they have the trebuchets to do it. Divine trying to bide his time a little bit, trying to get as many warriors as he can, but it looks like the ceasefire is going to end somewhat quickly. Knights are going to be able to come in. Veteran archers with the poison. You can see those purple-hued arrows trying to get attacks on some of these Knights, but the Knights are on the archers and will be able to devour them. Look at what we have here. Musafati, it's stealth. As you see them highlighted, geez, they were so stealth I barely saw them. Coming in from east to west, trying to take down on the back line of these longbowmen, and did a good job in terms of ambush and got a good first strike. And it's going to make English retreat into their stronghold once again. A lot of these trebs taking down the defensive structures. These poisoned arrows coming out of the archers going to help those knights go down, the longbowmen go down. It makes Divine go down. Szalami playing as the Malians, which was almost like an anti-English masterclass. Taking a look at it, what a fantastic game. Using Farimba Garrison, getting those Musafati warriors rather quickly, getting them 5 at a time, getting them rather cheap with the gold. As we saw, he had over 2,000 gold per minute. The garrison just seems like a nice Castle Age structure to continue your push, continue to just basically put your foot on the gas pedal throughout the entirety of the game. We saw the military count. As we take a look at this graph, we saw the military count. Now this battle at the end saw more losses for the Malians, but their military count, because of that garrison, was up into the 90s by the time that battle started. So although a lot of their units end up going down, they're so cheap because of the garrison, you don't really care. So it was more like a Zerg type playstyle. We saw out of Szalami with some keeps coming out on the back end and some trebs, which is just classic anti-English. It did a good job there.
We want to thank our MetaPlace website subscribers. Your contribution helps us keep the project sustainable. As we reach higher subscription goals, you are helping us cover more and more behind-the-scenes costs, such as video editing. Check out our subscription page using the link in the description, and remember to collect your perks. We will see you the next time.